A beautiful sunny day in Luo City. Inside a private company, a group of people were conducting a business transaction. This guy is a notorious gangster. His business is loan sharking, with an interest rate of up to 4% a month. But the young man, despite knowing this, was undeterred and wanted to borrow $5 million, accepting the terms of repaying $7 million within 6 months and providing collateral. The young man immediately pulled out his property deeds. Zhang gulped, looking at the deeds to the 140 square meter apartment in his hand. But the man still decided to drive a hard bargain, declaring that the house was not enough for collateral. After hearing this, the young man could only beg, accepting even a $4 million loan. He was confident because a fortune teller had told him he was on a lucky streak. Zhang finalized $3.5 million, and just like that, the young man immediately bowed his head deeply in gratitude. And so, the loan transaction was complete. But suddenly, the young man said there was an additional condition. Chen, finished with his work, stepped outside. The money was immediately transferred to his account. It turned out this young man was not a failed gambling addict, that he was a person who had been reborn into the past, and knew of a terrible disaster that would befall the Earth. Intense solar radiation had pushed the global average temperature up to 50 degrees Celsius. Humanity entered a terrifying 30-day era of extreme heat. While the gangster Zhang was celebrating getting a good deal, his assistant asked him, could this be a trap? Zhang had been in this business long enough to understand that gamblers would even sell their own wives and children, and this young man must have sold everything he possibly could. But Chen was craftier than him. He used the same method to borrow money from all the loan sharks in the city, and of course, he never planned to pay them back. When that disaster struck, the land became barren, vegetation withered, creatures mutated, and order collapsed. Supplies became extremely scarce, and people would do anything just to get a little something to survive. Possessing necessities was like holding unimaginable wealth. Even former billionaires, or once famous superstars, had to wag their tails and beg just for a sausage or even a cup of water. He had been reborn, and there was still enough time to prepare for everything. Suddenly, he heard a noise from behind. They were talking about a legendary and absurdly expensive ice cream. In his past life, he was a simp who spent his money buying this ice cream for a girl. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got, thinking he would have been better off feeding it to a dog than giving it to that bitch. Chen immediately rushed over and bought 10 of each type of ice cream. To the astonishment of the two hot girls, Chen immediately earned their admiration. Seeing that the guy didn't look rich, the waitress asked skeptically, asking if he was sure, as the total for the ice cream he ordered was up to 20,000 yuan. Sure enough, the female villain stepped out and declared that if that pauper had the money, she would kneel before him on the spot. Hearing this, Chen became interested and asked if she was serious. The girl scowled, telling a low-class person like him to stop showing off. Chen smirked and declared that she had just refused her own way out. He then shoved his bank account balance of 20 million yuan in the girl's face. Seeing the incident, the ice cream shop manager quickly rushed out to shield the clueless employee, and while at it, Chen decided to buy the entire shop. This surprised the owner even more, as people usually just walked by and looked at the shop. Very few could actually afford to buy this kind of ice cream. Buying out the entire stock, including the display items, for 1 million RMB. Chen confirmed the purchase without blinking. Then he made a deposit of 300,000 RMB and gave the owner his address. After that, he announced, these ladies could each take an ice cream they liked, and the wealthy tycoon Chen would cover it. But he didn't forget about the girl who had started the trouble, waiting for her to kowtow 3 full times, crying as she did. It truly serves a loudmouth right. A gentle autumn afternoon, he sat alone, savoring the ice-cold killer ice cream. Sure enough, the taste is unmistakable, the taste of premium quality. And this is his ability, a frozen, isolated space. It allows him to freeze everything solid, so there's no need to worry about preserving the ice cream. Originally, superpowers only began to awaken gradually after the apocalypse. Unexpectedly, it was reborn with him. He doesn't quite understand the principles behind it, but for now, it's his only trump card. Next, it's time to build a safe house including a cold storage, weapons, energy reserves. There's so much to do. Suddenly, the phone rang. He was a little surprised. It was Lu Wanqing, the woman he called a jinx. Chen regretted foolishly considering Lu Wanqing his light and savior after his parents passed away. While he was being used to the bone by her, she even sold the ancestral hall to buy herself a large apartment in the city. On that doomsday, he did everything to protect her. But in the end, she sold him out for a stronger person, and he became a food reserve for a group of cannibals. It was time for Chen to settle this debt. In a luxury hotel, Chen answered the phone, pretending as if nothing had happened. On the other end of the line, Wanqing was acting heartbroken over losing her gold necklace. Chen immediately offered to buy her 10 other gold necklaces to make up for it. This incredible generosity made her sweat, and she immediately asked why. Chen said he was getting lucky in the crypto market and wanted to borrow more to invest. As long as Wanqing acted as his loan guarantor, he would give her 5% of the borrowed amount as a commission. After saying that, all Chen had to do was wait. Now, it was time to build his fortress. This is the place. Within a month, he would turn it into solid iron walls. The windows require bulletproof composite glass with hidden security mesh. The walls are to be reinforced into 3-meter-thick bulletproof outer walls, capable of withstanding magnitude 8 earthquakes or higher, 3M security glass. The entire roof is to be covered with solar panels, plus an independent electrical system to ensure a power supply. Install an air filtration and purification system to block any toxic gases from the outside. A self-contained ecosystem with a 72-hour oxygen supply and water circulation system. Install blast-proof doors and an entry system with both biometric recognition and mechanical locks. In short, within a month, this place must become a fortified home with its own life support system. The guy from the construction company's jaw nearly dropped on the spot after hearing all this. This client wasn't just rich, he was also insane. If he refused, Chen would immediately switch contractors, which made the man backtrack, praising the idea as unique and saying the only issue was the budget. The contractor believed this was just another rich guy brainwashed by doomsday theories. But they really had money, no joke. Chen was willing to pay 1 million up front. It nearly knocked the guy over. This was a lucrative deal. The two shook hands, but Chen then threw a barrage of strict requirements at the contractor, from construction quality to materials. The contractor immediately made all sorts of promises, believing he would squeeze this rich guy dry at all costs. Next were supplies, medicine, food, daily necessities. In the apocalypse, the most dangerous thing isn't the disaster itself, but human nature after order collapses. Crude weapons, a hardware store could solve that, but guns and ammunition which can kill with a single shot were very hard to find. Chen continued his search online. He ended up finding an anonymous sales channel that specialized in selling anything imaginable. So he arranged the transaction via private message for 8 p.m. tonight. The place he arrived at was too deserted. As soon as he arrived, he saw a chaotic scene. This girl was being chased from behind by a gang of thugs. They were shouting curses because she dared to scam them on their own turf, while the girl hid behind Chen. The girl immediately pleaded with Chen to save her, but Chen then realized that this was Li Yuyu. They quickly pulled the girl away from Chen, pointing at his face to warn him. Looking at the girl struggling painfully, Chen was sure this was Li Yuyu, a beautiful top student, admired by many. How did she end up like this? The leader loudly demanded money from Yuyu, declaring she wouldn't be able to leave without paying in full. The two underlings didn't care much. If there was no money, they would ask the boss to let them use the girl's body to pay off the debt. Chen's heroic instincts kicked in, and he told them to let her go immediately. The thugs looked over at him. Without another word, one of them immediately threw a punch. But in Chen's eyes, they were too slow. He grabbed the guy's arm and twisted it back, then launched a lightning-fast counterattack to his face, knocking him several meters away. The system simultaneously issued a warning that a negative emotion had been detected. Negative emotion harvesting system successfully activated. Obviously, this thing didn't exist in his previous life. Yu shouted Chen Xiao's name loudly, while the other guy held her hostage and made threats. Suddenly a huge brick was thrown from above, smashing right into his face. The whole group was stunned speechless. Another hero appears, confronting the scumbags for bullying a girl. Feeling insulted, the group with a negative honor stat immediately charges forward. Chen and the other guy each take on one of them. The other guy, also a kung fu practitioner, knocks a thug to the ground with a kick. As for Chen, he also lands a punch on the remaining one. They quickly gain the upper hand, defeating the worthless thugs. Afterward, Chen yelled at them to get lost. System notification. A large amount of negative emotions has been collected, conditions met to expand the space, and it advised him to work harder to keep growing. Chen smiled. It was indeed very interesting. Just then, Yu spoke up, saying she didn't expect to meet Chen here. He took her hand, pulled her up and asked if she was hurt. but Yu needed to leave in a hurry. Meanwhile, the other guy praised the damsel in distress rescue as top-notch, and introduced himself as Mu Kang. Oh, so it turns out he's the one who deals in things that nobody sells. Upon hearing this, Mu Kang was immediately convinced it was fate. A hero meets a hero. In response, Chen just thought he was an idiot. While also collecting the negative emotions from this new friend, detected strong negative emotions, confused +1, bewildered +1, awkward +1. Then Chen continued to chant some nonsensical spell, making Mu Kang so scared he was ready to flee. After that, they proceeded with the transaction. Russian goods, reliable and durable. Mu Kang told him to use them sparingly as ammo was scarce. Chen praised his counterpart for being interesting and offered a friendly price to make a friend. Mu Kang was a bit surprised to see Chen handle the gun so professionally. Clearly not a newbie, yet Chen was asking for an extra silencer and magazine. Mu Kang felt he was being unreasonable, as the price was already less than half the market rate, and it was in high demand even when sold at black market prices. Mu Kang boiled with anger and cursed him out, allowing Chen to harvest a good amount of negative emotion points. Very quickly, Chen patted his brother on the shoulder and announced he would pay in full. That night, Chen went to see his wretched girlfriend. Despite Wan Qing's suspicion about the investment, Chen insisted he wouldn't deceive her. Wan Qing believed that the bootlicker was indeed incapable of deceiving her. So before that, Miss Liu had gone to find Big Boss Zhang to borrow money. The hot girl didn't know that even with just a guarantor's signature, the debt was still her responsibility to repay. If she couldn't repay, it was no problem, as Big Boss Zhang would accept her paying the debt with her body. Wan Qing was overly confident, so she didn't hesitate to sign her own slave contract. Chen's safe house was also completed. All the materials were reinforced to the highest military standards: heat-proof, soundproof, explosion-proof, and drill-proof. It could even withstand a few nuclear bombs. The quality was superb. After inspecting it, Chen immediately paid in full. Entering the house, he opened his weapon box. On the TV, a warning was being issued for an unprecedentedly massive solar flare. The entire world would experience a prolonged period of extreme high temperatures. He carefully cleaned his gun. Finally, it has arrived. Outside the glass, a massive sun, as red as lava, was radiating terrifying heat. Due to a massive solar storm, Earth's ionosphere is experiencing severe disturbances. Extreme heat is occurring in many parts of the world, with daytime temperatures expected to reach 45 degrees Celsius. Chen knows this is just the beginning. The city of Luo suffers under the scorching sun. This girl keeps washing her face, because the temperature is already too high, even in the early morning. No one knows how long this situation will last. A fruit vendor is shouting on a loudspeaker, deliberately exaggerating the shortage of essential supplies, just hoping to sell his goods for a better price. People start rushing to buy fruit and haggle. The owner was immediately captivated by the girl's beauty, but he also didn't forget to promote the quality of his watermelons. If you buy 2, I'll give you a 20% discount, and I'll even throw in a free pack of tissues. He even took the opportunity to lure the 2 girls to his house to eat watermelon in the air conditioning. A true scoundrel. He also pestered them to buy more to stock up. When the 2 men over there tried to bargain, he flatly refused. Chen was passing by. He immediately recognized the man as Li Dafu. In his previous life, he had falsely accused him of being a thief. Chen had only seen an item on the ground and wanted to pick it up, but Li Dafu adamantly insisted on either taking him to the police or making him pay compensation. The crowd gathered and scolded his parents for not knowing how to raise their child, letting their son go around stealing like this. What a terrible memory. Chen stared at him, then looked over to see what he was selling. 50 yuan for 1 pack of snacks. Chen immediately asked if his snacks were made of gold. The guy turned back, scowling at Chen. The system reported 3 disgust points collected. He rushed forward, snatched the snack pack back, and warned Chen not to touch his goods if he couldn't afford to buy and pay for them. Detected strong negative emotions, irritation +6. Chen took the opportunity to call the pile of junk treasures, and teased him, asking if he wasn't afraid of thieves with so many treasures. Dafu was furious, declaring he would beat him up if he dared to be so insolent again. Chen just told him to calm down, then asked Dafu about health symptoms like frequent dreaming and aching in his back and knees. Dafu did in fact have those symptoms. Could it be that just as Chen said, this warehouse had a feng shui problem? Emboldened, Chen's consultation became even more intense. He said that his forehead was darkening, which was a sign of bad luck. His eyes were unfocused. In short, the The weakest person here was Dafu himself. The moment these words were out, he flew into a rage and lunged to attack him. Chen simply dodged and took out a lollipop, then flicked him a coin. The coin had just hit the ground. He immediately received 20 anger points. That night, he stood in front of Dafu's warehouse. In his previous life, he had endured too much humiliation. In this life, he was determined to get back both the principal and the interest. As it happened, the negative emotion points were enough to expand the storage space. He immediately opened the space. The next morning, Dafu felt that something was wrong. He stepped inside and was horrified. All the shelves were completely empty. The greedy fatty's face turned black with anger. Who on earth could have done this to me? At home, Chen watched Dafu through the camera and received another 66 emotion points. This is awesome. Dafu's anger turned into despair. He wailed in the middle of the empty warehouse. The surrounding people also gathered, not knowing how to buy anything. The old ladies from the neighborhood gossiped about a ghost wandering around here last night. This made Dafu even more bewildered. And so Chen gained more negative emotion points: anger, fear, suspicion. Not bad, not bad. Li Dafu's emotional outburst this round was very consistent. What a good rice jar. Chen didn't forget to take out a bag of snacks and munch on them noisily on the spot. This attracted Dafu's attention. He roared, instantly recognizing it as his merchandise. He vividly remembered Chen mocking this snack package for being made of gold. Dafu immediately accused Chen of stealing his goods. Dafu grabbed his arm and collar, but Chen said that getting physical was impolite. But he deliberately maintained a steady smile and reminded Dafu not to make baseless accusations without proof. Dafu resolved that even if Chen didn't steal, he would still have to pick a fight to extort something from him to compensate for the loss. Meanwhile, Chen kept complimenting how clean his warehouse looked and asked if he wanted the half-eaten bag of snacks. Detected strong negative emotions, anger +18. Chen even called for everyone to come and judge, to see how this Dafu guy had lost his goods and was now trying to pin the blame on him. Those around agreed, as many other convenience stores sold similar snacks, but because of yesterday's incident, Dafu was adamant that Chen was involved. Chen told him he could come search his house. If he found anything of his, Chen would pay tenfold. But if he found nothing, then the generator behind his own house would belong to Chen. Dafu took the deal and immediately dragged him away. The crowd also followed, and upon arrival, they all gasped, as the house was so opulent. Look at this chandelier, it's a treasure. From the clothes, the refrigerator, the safe, everything made Dafu break out in a cold sweat. Chen mockingly asked if he wanted to pull up the floorboards. Realizing he had messed with the wrong person, Dafu turned tail and fled. He earned 6 shame points, but Dafu forgot one thing: the generator. Everyone had clearly heard their deal. At this point, Dafu could only try to smooth things over, hoping Chen would forget the deal. But unfortunately, Chen the shark refused to let it go. He gained another 8 impatience points. Dafu was livid. He immediately threw a punch, but it was blocked by Chen with a twist of the arm. He made the big guy howl in pain, earning him another 73 pain points. With no other choice, Dafu had to bring the generator over. Chen urged him to hurry up, saying that in another day or two, they wouldn't be able to get out anymore. Then he twisted the man's arm more painfully, collecting another 30 shame points, 86 pain points, and 101 fear points. But at this moment, his phone rang. Wanqing told him that someone had been following her for the past 2 days, and they looked like debt collectors. She still didn't understand what signing a debt guarantee meant. Wanqing started to suspect that Chen might have lied to her, but the smooth-talking Chen simply expressed that he was hurt for not being trusted, despite having sacrificed so much. He was a bit surprised that the perverts from the Die High gang were even more impatient than he had thought. Chen continued to ask about her being followed, and for information on the stalker. Wanqing, on the other end of the line, said she had shaken them off, that luckily her address had not been discovered, and warned Chen not to try anything funny. Chen tried to reassure her that maybe they just had the wrong person. Then he laid out his dinner in front of the phone's camera, making her stare with wide eyes. A piece of high-class grilled fish was displayed before her eyes. She couldn't believe Chen was having such a high-class meal. Chen said this was nothing. He had a ton of it in his warehouse. These words shook Wanqing. Could he have really gotten rich? Keep in mind that necessities had started to become as expensive as gold these days. While drinking a cold Coke, Chen invited her over to his place. Wanqing's eyes lit up as she watched him eat the salmon. She was dying from the craving. Chen asked her if she still had enough food at her place. The bitch immediately said that she was scared of being alone, and that it felt like those thugs were still lurking nearby. So she really wanted to come over to Chen's place and stay for a few days. With that, she put the phone down and declared that she wanted to hang out with Chen, offering to send her address so he could come pick her up. Chen just chuckled inwardly. That bitch had really gotten cheap. He reminded her. Didn't she always used to say that a girl shouldn't carelessly give her address to others, nor let anyone visit her home? Wanching said that was in the past. Now that Chen was her boyfriend, she was granting him that privilege. Alright, Chen agreed to pick her up tonight when it got cooler. The girl was delighted. A simp will always be a simp. Chen found it ridiculous. But suddenly, there was incessant knocking at the door. A woman and a child were at the door. Chen opened the door with a smile. The woman immediately wanted to come in and sit for a while, using the excuse that her air conditioner was broken and her child couldn't stand the heat. Chen immediately pushed her out. This woman had once called him and his mother trash just because they collected empty bottles. She had even reported them to security to have them chased away. The neighbor pointed at him and shouted that it was many years ago, and called Chen heartless. But unfortunately, the string of his humanity had snapped long ago. He slammed the door shut, leaving the neighbor to bang on the door and scream curses. He took the opportunity to earn some more negative emotion points. Chen felt nothing. He changed his phone's SIM card, then called someone. He informed them that he had Lu Wanqing's address and would provide it to them. And so, he would wait for Wanqing's performance to begin. That night, Wanqing admired her beauty in the mirror. Soon, she would be pampered by Chen in a cool, air-conditioned room. Only such a carefree life was worthy of her. The mere thought of it was exciting. She lit another cigarette. Suddenly, there was a persistent knock on the door. She thought it was Chen. To her surprise, the visitors were Zhang's thugs. The moment he got in, he slapped her and demanded Chen's overdue debt. Wanqing told them to go find Chen Xiao for the money. The gangster Zhang immediately produced the contract with her signature, saying that since she signed it, she had to take responsibility. Then, he ordered his henchmen to find everything of value in the house. The entire house was turned upside down. Placed in front of him were a few designer bags and some pieces of jewelry. Wanqing was still in shock. Zhang declared this little pile of junk wasn't even enough to cover the interest. Zhang grimly declared that he and his men would not be leaving empty-handed. She then started to panic, lying that the money was with Chen. Chen had a lot of supplies, and he was on his way to pick her up. Wanqing still believed that Chen would come. Then she tried to call Chen. Unfortunately, she couldn't get through. He had obviously turned off his phone. Wanqing finally realized, even if she could get through, no one would pick up. She gradually fell into despair. Zhang knocked the phone away, calling her a fool because that guy had already sold her out. She was stunned. Zhang then grabbed her by the hair. Ignoring her screams, he still dragged her straight into the room, and then closed the door. On the other end of the phone, Chen coldly listened to those terrifying sounds, and welcomed Wanqing to the apocalypse. Zhang was done, while Wanqing sat huddled in the room crying. But Zhang wasn't done with her yet. He demanded she confirm again if it was true that Chen's place had many good things. Air conditioning, cold drinks, and lots of food. His place has it all right. She said that it definitely had everything. Zhang squeezed her neck even harder. After confirming she was telling the truth, he threw her onto the bed. Now Zhang and his men were going to catch this big fish. Let's go. The thugs left, leaving Wanqing's house in a mess. At that moment she had only one thought, to curse Chen to a miserable death. That night, the sound of footsteps disturbed the whole alley. Zhang the creditors group and Chen's old neighbor had gathered. The old woman had somehow provided them with information, while relentlessly cursing Chen as a cheapskate. Zhang happily promised her a cut. Old woman Wang rubbed her hands, flattering Zhang by calling him a generous boss. She would keep her eyes peeled to see how that bastard Chen would kneel and cry. The group arrived at his house. With his years of experience in the underworld, Zhang grew suspicious of the unusual silence of the place. His building was also quite tall. An impatient henchman volunteered to go up first. He ended up stepping on a live wire on the ground. His whole body was paralyzed on the spot. The others didn't know what was happening and thought he was having a cramp. The moment they touched him, the two of them got electrocuted as well. The rest of them were all stunned, not understanding what was happening. Just then, the loudspeaker overhead made a sound, while Chen continuously collected a large amount of negative emotion points. Chen's voice rang out, wishing them good luck and prosperity. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire group below was electrocuted, their bodies seizing up. Holding the blade, Zhang lifted his foot in alarm. Detected strong negative emotions, shock plus 4-5. Detected strong negative emotions, panic plus 3-6. Detected strong negative emotions, speechless plus 2-2. Inside the house, Chen watched everything through the camera, continuously taunting them. The guy outside had lost all patience, shouting loudly for Chen to pay their debt. Old woman Wang also chimed in, cursing that only an orphan would do such things. Chen nonchalantly ate ice cream as if watching a show. Then he said that this apartment was worth 4 million, more than enough to pay the debt, but the debtor is Wan Qing, so go and find her. Zhang realized that money was worthless, supplies and food were king. Chen declared that while he was still in a good mood, they should part ways amicably. If they insisted on pushing it, he would show no mercy. With that, Chen pressed the red button. Instantly, a current of several hundred volts shot out. The group of people once again flashed like Christmas Eve LED lights. Strong negative emotion detected, pain +63. Strong negative emotion detected, despair +77. Only then did Zhang realize that he was a fish in a trap. He immediately ordered his men to make a hasty retreat. As for this old woman, she still couldn't accept it in her heart, believing that the gang would definitely not spare him. Today, the temperature continued to rise. The streets were empty. Chen casually sat and snacked all day. On the TV, it was announced that many deaths from heatstroke had occurred in various areas recently. The public was advised to limit going outside as much as possible. A text message came in. He saw it was filled with curses from his neighbor and old man Dafu. There were many other abusive messages, calling him a murderer for being so selfish. He kept swiping. The system also continued to accumulate negative emotion points. The score reached 1,000, qualifying for a reward. Seeing the noisy crowd cursing more and more fiercely, he decided to take a picture and post it for them to see, saying that whoever wanted some should quickly sign up. The cursing crowd immediately changed their tune, scrambling to sign up for the supplies. Of course, he traded at equal value, not giving anything away for free. And so, the crowd's attitude did a 180, and they continued to curse him. Chen put down his phone, feeling satisfied. Suddenly, system notification. Emotion points reached 3,000. Skill upgraded, spatial cut, beginner. Effect. Creates a small rift in the air, cutting anything it touches within a 3-meter range. He had never seen this skill before, so Chen took out an apple and proceeded to test it. The apple was immediately sliced cleanly in two. What an interesting skill. As night fell, Wan Qing stepped out of the car. With her was none other than the pimp Zhang. They had found his house through a tip from the neighbor hag. That's right, that very same hag. Wan Qing had agreed to become Zhang's concubine in order to survive, but he still asked if she was okay with it. Wan Qing said that boss Lu Zhang is the only one in her heart, while the other guy is just trash. She is determined to kill Chen tonight. Suddenly, Zhang saw a dark figure nearby. It turned out to be Dafu and his crew, who were very eager to put Chen in his grave. It turned out that only Zhang's subordinates had come yesterday. Because of their failure, he had come personally, ready to share the prize with his enthusiastic neighbors. As a local, Dafu knew a shortcut. On the street, a few desperate people were fighting over the last of the essential supplies. As the group passed by, fear flashed in Dafu's eyes. Incidentally, Dafu also saw the other group entering his food storage, but unfortunately, a thug declared that from now on the house had a new owner. Mrs. Wang's house was no exception. She screamed helplessly in front of her door, regretting having trusted a gang of hooligans. The entire street was a scene of chaos. The looters spared no one. Zhang and his men had arrived. The crowd waited, seething with murderous intent. This time Chen proactively came out, tossing a sofa in front of him. Then he nonchalantly laid out some food. While eating, he asked if they were looking for him. Zhang didn't understand. With death at his doorstep, how could this brat be so confident and put on such a show? After he finished eating, Chen wiped his mouth, not forgetting to scold the group that their parents hadn't raised them properly for disturbing someone during their meal. Hearing this, Zhang immediately had his men rush forward. He dodged the first punch. The second man had his face slammed into the ground with a loud thud. The third man, with an iron mace in his hand, Chen ducked and delivered a sweeping kick, knocking him off balance. At the same time, a grenade was thrown, landing right in front of Zhang. White smoke immediately enveloped everything. Zhang stepped back into a defensive stance. Suddenly, he noticed Mu Kang had also arrived, complimenting him that his skills were truly not bad. Chen asked why he was there. Apparently, Mu Kang wanted to make another trade, this time for a good gun. Then the two found a secluded spot to do business. Mu Kang's eyes lit up when he saw Chen's supply crate. Chen asked why he was in an area that wasn't his territory. It turned out that Lu Haifeng's gang had taken over his business, so he had tracked and followed them here. He hadn't expected to run into Chen, and upon seeing the precious supplies, he became convinced that Chen had a special supply source. Chen was immediately alarmed. He asked what the other guy was was getting at. Mu Kang, fearing a misunderstanding, explained that it was because Haifeng's crew was hoarding a large amount of water, and he wanted to cooperate with Chen to seize it. Once the job was done, they would store it at Chen's place. He believed water would become the new currency. Chen immediately agreed. But the split Chen wanted was 9-1. He takes 9, Mu Kang takes 1. Mu Kang was in complete shock, asking Chen why he didn't just go rob someone. In that case, Chen didn't need to cooperate anymore. Mu Kang swallowed his pride, immediately hugged Chen's leg and begged for an 8-2 split, because he needed to eat too. Damn it, Mu Kang didn't know anyone more suitable than this miser. An additional condition was that Chen must get the first pick of the new goods. Mu Kang had no other choice but to agree. Now they would discuss the plan in more detail, understand the base's layout and personnel deployment. It is Lu Haifeng's base. The trading area is right at the front. Those who need water can pay with cash or trade with items. All the guards are armed. There are also quite a few captured girls, especially to provide special services for the higher-ups. He caught a glimpse of Wanqing's figure here, and the place they were aiming for is this giant water tank. Chen would go in first to check, while Mu Kang would create a diversion after seeing the signal. Mu Kang was a little surprised by his confidence, but Chen had already planned ahead. He leapt across the rooftops, stealthily moving through the darkness. Suddenly, someone spotted him. He immediately pulled out a pass and said that Boss Lu had sent him to take inventory of the water. The guard was doubtful. How could a person possibly take inventory of water? Mockery points +5. That being the case, Chen decided to try a new skill. He used the card itself to make a slice. He took down the guard in one surprise strike. A large amount of both horror and pain points were collected. Very quickly, another one discovered the incident. He immediately opened fire repeatedly, but Chen, like a Superman, dodged them all completely. The gun quickly ran out of bullets. He was sliced in two right after that. Strong negative emotions detected. Fear +100, despair +100. The remaining guards started rushing over to find the intruder. Chen hid in a corner of the wall. Suddenly, a hand reached out from the darkness. The water tank was the most crowded area. They were all armed to the teeth. The one who pulled Chen back was Yu. She signaled for him to be quiet. Chen didn't understand why this girl was here. Yu said she had been captured, and asked if Chen had been too. Chen didn't answer, instead asking the girl where they kept the water. Of course, Yu knew the location well, as she had to clean it regularly. Looking at the bucket beside her, she immediately threw it out to attract attention. While the guards went over to investigate, they silently took another path, a safer one. Upon arrival, Chen told the girl to find a hiding spot and wait for him to come out. Then, Chen used his spatial storage ability, pressing it directly against the wall. The wall quickly exploded, formed a hole. The guard inside didn't understand what was happening. When he turned around, he saw a stranger right behind him. Chen's gaze was as cold as ice. Before he could even shoot, he was slashed by Chen. It hit a vital point, preventing him from making a sound. Detected strong negative emotions. Shock +120, fear +120, pain +120.